Hello, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm sorry a little late. There was a bad wreck in front of our school and we wouldn't let people through.
Thank you so much. How are you? Everything is okay?
Yeah, everything's okay with us. My students haven't come yet because I think they're going to be a little delayed because of the traffic.
No problem. We will wait.
So why don't we go ahead and let you guys go, so we'll be typing and you can give yours and then we'll wait a little bit for mine, okay?
Okay.
I'll be right back. I gotta go check the door, but if you want to go ahead with the speeches, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Well, go ahead and go, and I'll be right back. I gotta go open the door, make sure that see if they come in. Be right back.
اینا هفت صبحشونه میگه تو ترافیک میاد. خب کی میخواد شروع کنه؟
خانم من متنی که نوشتم و کامل از روش بخونم.
آره همین خوبه.
و اونم میخونه.
خب بعد نفر بعدی کیه؟ نفر بعدی؟
بخوام اون موقع که بستگی داره که بحث چی
ببین رخصانه بعد تو بیا اینجا کام بیا این بعد مریم شما می پشت هر سه تو بیا باشی مریضی یه ذره اون بعد
اگه مثلا بیان دو طرف کسی هم بزن وسط باشه آره یعنی تمرکز سر اون آدم نخواستم چون عوض میشه بچه های راسته من لپتاپ بذارم تو ترمزشون خیلی بهتر از تو دهن اصلا بذاریمشین بالا آره این بالا بذاریم
بچه فقط کابل جا تکن ندیم کابش نیماید رو قطع میشه
الان میتونید صفحه مانیتور بگید شما سه تا صحبت میکنید دیگه بله؟ ولی بچه‌های دیگه با دقت گوش کن اگه سوالی داشتی موقع پرسش پاسخ میتونی بیاین سوال کنی یادداشت کنی
از این بچه‌ها سوالام خاطر ایمیلی که شما فرستادین کاری کردم
کاری انجام دادی؟
ما چک نکردیم
قرار بود هر کسی کار میکنه به من تحمیل
خب چیکار کردی؟
چیزی که
تلویزیون دارن
خیلی چیز بدی هم نیست که مثلا دموکراسی ناستینه ولی شما رو دوست مقابل
خانم حسینی باشه این ریش از کدوش باشه
اونا خیلی بچه موافق باید
نه موضوع هم
نه موضوع هم اما شما اون چیزی که بچه شما اطلاع داریم یه عکسه که سیستم عالیه
یکی با خاموش کنیم نه میگه گفت من داشته هستی نیستم که موبایل تشخیص خانم منتظریم که ترافیک صبحشونه دیگه 7 صبح اون آره آقا الان گفتش که تو ترافیک منتظر بیام همونجوری که اونا فکر میکنم ماشین با شطور حرکت میکنم ما پنده که اونا کابویه آره من راجع تگزاس فکر می‌کردم بعد شما علاقه حالش دارم خواهش آزوری که خوب شد اومدی
شما
بس میگم سر به این کابو بس یه سر
شما کار کردی بودی رو موضوع؟ ولی یک وسط سوالی داری اینا؟
و لیسانس زبان ایتالیایی
واقعا؟
نه
بچه‌ها خیلی خوب استفاده کنیم ایران چی میشه؟ ما باش فکر می‌کنیم ایران باش بد میشه ولی بعضی خوشحال اعتراف کننده
شما
خب دو تا چیز باید در نظر بگیرید یکی دو تا مسئله است یکی مسئله برجامه یکی مسئله سوریه است یعنی رابطه ما با امریکا دو جاست که ما با امریکایی‌ها گره خوردیم دو جای مستقل یه جا در سوریه یه جا در برجام توی برجام به عقد امریکایی‌ها میرسه دیگه من نمیدونم برجام کار البته چرا دیوونه هست که مثلا برجام برداره بندازه تو از دستگاه کاغذ میشه آره میکنه
ولی خانم موگرینی نمیشه
نه ولی اساساً آقای اینا هم خودشون هم مشاورشون خیلی تا یه جاهای دیگه واقعا و در مورد آقای ترامپ چیزی که بهشون خطرناکه اینه که اومده کسایی رو از آمریکاها دور خودش جمع کرده اینا واگذارهای دوران آقای بوشن یعنی در دوره که بوش شما هنوز سنتون قد نمیده یا آقای بود که همین مدل آقای ترامپ خودبازی در می‌آورد این اومد یه سری آدم دور خودش جمع کرد که همشون دیوانه بودن از بین اون دیوانه‌ها اومد دیوانه ترها رو کنار گذاشت حالا آقای ترامپ که اومد سرکار اون دیوانه ترها رو به عنوان
مشاور وزیر
یا مثلا اون داگماتیست یه داگماتیست اون آقایی که الان وزیر دفاع شده واقعا خود
مثلا وزیر مسکن جراح مغز
ولی آدم دو جور نگاه به آقای ترامپ یکی اینکه چون که این الان داشتم برای بچه‌ها قبل اومدن سوال می‌کنم چون خودش قبلا شرکت داشته احساس می‌کنه که یه تنه میتونه مثلا هتل کار رسانه همه کار خودش میتونه بکنه ممکنه از اون رئیس جمهورهایی باشه که خودش تصمیم میگیره با و
خانم من
آره و اون بقیه تیمی که دورش هستن
Have they arrived?
No, they hadn't arrived yet, but we might be really delayed. There was a pretty serious wreck in front of, not far from our school, and it has traffic backed up about 4 or 5 miles. So I don't know what's going to happen. But let's continue with your speeches, and so at least we can tape those for you. Okay, go ahead.
خانم گفتن که ما شروع کنیم بعد اونو ضبط میکنم So shall I start reading the text?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, please.
Does economic inequality damages democratic development? If so, how? First, what does democracy mean? What are its ideals? The word democracy is derived from the Greek demos, meaning the common people, and kratia, meaning rule. From a democratic standpoint, the people are defined as citizens who possess rights and duties. They have sovereignty that must be exercised within the limits of the law, often codified in a constitution or charter. This framework spells out the ways that the people can exercise their rights and duties. The key elements of democracy are a political system for choosing and replacing the government through free and fair elections, the active participation of the people as citizens in politics and civic life, protection of the human rights of all citizens, a rule of law in which the laws and procedure apply equally to all citizens, different political parties participate, free activity of media. Now I'm going to talk about economic freedom. Economic freedom. Like all Austrian economists, von Mises supports economic freedom and believes that political freedom is produced by the performance of market economy. He also believes that no government nor rule can guarantee freedom unless by defending important and fundamental structures of market economy. Power has no compatibility with freedom, so that freedom can only exist when power is limited, which means that the ruling power and party does not intervene in economic freedom. If not so, there would be no market economy, and therefore, even the best constitutions for giving freedom will be ineffective. Freedom means to be free of others' will imposition. Von Mises insists that freedom in society is based on competition caused by free market economy and free trades. The employee's destiny is no longer in the hands of the employer because he can leave for a new employer, even be employed by rival employers. The consumer is not controlled by the producer. The consumer can be simply others' consumer too. People's relationships are based on giving and taking. No one is doing any favors by selling or buying. The profit of both sides is the motivation for trading. Therefore, the consumer has no superiorities over the producer and vice versa. This situation is not favorable to domineers who want to take control over others. Free economy is a huge challenge for domineers by providing a protected area for people to choose and to be chosen. In local areas in a country, economic discrimination causes the privation of some societies in social and political partnerships. Economic discrimination is different from the economic difference, so that the difference resulted from personal and mental abilities does not cause any problems. In fact, it encourages individuals to try more and work harder. But the difference caused by discrimination disappoints people and reduces socio-political partnership. First, sometimes individuals are sequestered and their political demanding is decreased. Discriminations decrease low classes' role in society and decision-making. They participate less in main decisions such as elections and etc. Second, wealth inequality causes discrimination, and discrimination is against democracy. When there is discrimination in a society, wealthy people have more facilities and more power than people with less wealth and income. It is a right for people to have educational, hygiene, etc. facilities, and everyone must have a minimum of these facilities. But discrimination causes class difference. Obviously, low classes do not have access to facilities like high classes do. It makes them discontent and unsatisfied. The discrimination and deprived classes may end tied up in rancor, hatred, and anger, and prepare to ruin, spoil, and take revenge. Therefore, discrimination is an obstacle in the path towards democracy. Experiences show that carelessness to essential and basal necessities, according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, causes behavioral and social imbalance. When people's physiological needs, such as food and water, and safety needs are not met, they will not care about politics, economics, nor to gain knowledge about them, so they can be tricked easily. On the other hand, individuals will do anything to get safety, food, water, and etc., which can lead to violence and individuals attacking, harming, and disrespecting each other. The precondition of democracy is respect, but the dissatisfied and unhappy ones cannot follow the rules and work properly, so they can harm and disrespect others. Third, in the third situation, the deprived ones will involve the society in populism and eventually move away from democracy. But what is populism, and why is it threatening to democracy and dangerous? Populism is some kind of demagogy of the majority of the society, which is the opposite of democracy. The term populism is derived from the Latin populis, meaning the people. Populism and democracy are socio-political concepts that on the surface appear to be similar, but are not always. Political science researchers have shown that, in fact, populism often can be antithetical to true democracy. Populist politicians may emerge with promises of working for the people in opposition to the wealthy elite. They may actually have a secret agenda to favor the elite, undermining democratic institutions and ultimately causing problems for the common people they once promised to serve. Extreme populism works against any limitations on the manifestation of the public will. The majority must rule with no exceptions for the rights of individuals or concern for the repression of minority groups. Many populist rhetorics include xenophobic, nationalistic, and exclusionary language. The core members of the movement use the tools of democracy, elections, and town hall meetings to consider their authority and eliminate dissenting voices. This can lead to racial intolerance and violence against those seen as outsiders by the native citizenry. The populist regime will distance itself from those acts, often accusing the victims of the violence of being disruptive influence. Therefore, better the economic conditions are, the more chance democracy gets. On the other side, democracy is not necessarily defined by the casting vote or the vote of majority. In conditions of economic inequality, we may not make good decisions. Democratic countries' experiences show that some kind of economic socialism, by that we mean providing the minimum facilities, help people make logical decisions which strengthens democracy, such as the Scandinavian countries. But in worldwide stage, the huge economic split between countries will eventually lead to the world to violence and to become bipolar. And violence is against democracy. Rich countries should try to make positive economic conditions in order to spread democracy so that poorer countries can cooperate towards the development of democracy. In conclusion, we can say that considering what democracy is, wealth inequality does harm its ideals. By wealth inequality, we do not mean wealth difference, but wealth discrimination. Democracy is for wealth difference, but it is the result of each person's effort. It is the wealth discrimination and excessive wealth inequality that destroys everything democracy stands for. The excessive wealth inequality will make the majority of the population who do not benefit from the wealth discrimination lose their faith and trust in the system. They will not see its effectiveness and stop participating in political activities that keep the system going, like elections. Wealth inequality can also fill people with rage. They will try to change the governing system and divert it into what they think would be more citizen-based. This is the cause of most revolutions, such as the Cuban Revolution. Even if people do not try to destroy democracy, when there is wealth discrimination, they will try to show their opposition by doing what the government advises them not to, such as the Brexit. That's it.
Okay, I had a few questions if you want, whenever you want to.
Sure.
You want to do your other speeches, or would you like to ask a couple questions now?
Yes, please go on.
Okay, go. Continue.
I finished reading the text.
Oh, okay. Can I ask some questions then?
Oh.
Okay, good. Okay, wealth distribution comes after a period of time, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. To take money from one and give it to another is stealing, correct?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay, so you qualify it with a qualified yes, correct? But it is taking from one, and no matter if the government does it or somebody else does it, it's still taking from one to another without their permission is stealing, correct?
No, it can be with it can be not stealing. I mean, like by asking the richer people to pay some money so that we can give it to the poorer. We are asking them. We are not forcing them. So that's not stealing.
Oh, okay. So in other words, you're making a suggestion. You're not telling them what to do.
Yes.
Okay, good. But you would agree that stealing is against most laws, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Which existed first, the democracy or the economy?
Economy. I think economy existed first because democracy appeared. much after the economy began to exist. Like for example, people were trading at the beginning of the history. People have started trading, and that's some kind of economy. But they didn't have any governments, so they didn't have democracy neither.
Right. You know, like under Cyrus the Great, there was trade, correct?
No.
There was economy, there was trade under Cyrus the Great. There wasn't a democracy yet, but there was trade, correct?
Yes, there was trade and some kind of democracy that has not developed into what we think democracy is right now.
Oh yeah, I mean it's actually probably more free than the Greeks, but that's a whole nother story. Okay, is there a true democracy in the world today?
I didn't understand. To what?
Is there a true democracy in the world today?
Well, some believe that democracy is an ideal, so we can't have a true democracy, but we can try to reach the nearest step to democracy. So
I take it with your very articulate question that we do not have a country today that you could call on that would be a true democracy, correct?
Yeah, we don't have a pure democracy, yes.
Go ahead. Because, you know, in the United States, I always say we're a democracy, although I don't think we're a democracy. And then you in your states about the Scandinavian countries, Norway and Sweden and Denmark, they're not really true democracies either, correct?
They are the nearest steps to democracy.
Right, but there is no such thing as a pure democracy. Okay, I'll take it. Next question. Is democracy a goal or something you can actually work at? Okay, excuse me. Is democracy actually a goal, or is it something that can work as a government?
It's more goals.
What do you mean? Like, is it a goal or something?
Okay, you were saying democratic ideals. Okay, ideals are really nice, but not necessarily effective as a tool in which a government could work. And what I'm asking you is, are you saying that, are you trying to advocate that democracy is something more of a goal or an ideal than it is something that could be actually, you know, done in a government?
Well, it can be reached because, I mean, democracy has been working for countries that haven't been pure democracy but have tried to get to that point, like Norway or in some parts of American law. So we can say that they've developed more from the countries that didn't even have the slightest bit of democracy in them. So we can say that democracy is effective, and when we have more of it in our system, it makes a better society or country or nation.
Oh yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to add something, that democracy ideals are some goals that we are trying to reach them and to achieve them and to make them happen.
It is possible to reach them.
Okay, could we agree that maybe under Cyrus the Great, he was a monarch or a king, but there was democratic ideals expressed in some of his edicts and the way he governed the country, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, is democracy flexible?
Yes.
Okay. Is the economic freedom up to the rights of the people or the rights of the people who run the businesses? If we're going to have economic freedom, is it to the rights of the people or is it to the rights of the people that run and own the businesses?
It is for everyone. It's not only for the people that are trading and are working in business fields.
It's crucial to everybody.
Okay, well, with that question, is the purpose of McDonald's to make money or is the purpose of McDonald's to sell hamburgers?
Like if you don't sell hamburgers, you cannot have an income. So they have it's like a two-way circle.
So their purpose is to make money by selling hamburgers. So it's both. You cannot separate these two things.
Okay, well, I agree. That sounds good. Okay, can you force economy on the people? Or can you force economic well-being on the people?
Well, yes, you can force anything on the people.
But the point is whether or not it is
you can force it so you can have a more ideal community and a better one. So to make things better, yes, you can force it on them.
Okay, how successful was communism when it was forced on the Russians in 1917?
I didn't say communism, so how could you get there?
By forcing people, we do not mean communism. We mean that we are doing something for the beneficence of everyone.
It almost sounds Leninist when you say we're doing something for your benefit, but then they have to believe it's their benefit, correct? Not necessarily somebody telling them.
We say that we are providing facilities, but it's the people's choice to whether to take advantage of them and use them or not.
Okay, that makes some sense. Does democracy grant rights to minorities?
Yes, you should, of course.
Okay. Well, one thing I was just always puzzled about, we try, in the United States, we always say we export democracy. And we seem to force people by trying to bomb them into oblivion to believe whatever. Can you force a democracy onto somebody else that may not want it?
No, you cannot force it. But you can make it like you can make some changes so that it make that comprehensible for that country, for the people of the country. You should take notice of the historical background of the people, so you can choose so you can help them the most.
So I believe that democracy is a unity. It needs all people to work together as they need to work for their purposes, and they need to give their ideas, their ideas. So it cannot be forced on them, but they need to realize that they need to participate in anything that's going on. Like when we're talking about democracy, we're talking about countries, and we need to make them realize that they need to participate in their country's
events.
Yes, events.
Right. Okay, now here in the United States, we recently had an election in which maybe 45% of the people voted. Can you have a true democracy when you have a very low participation of people voting?
First of all, America is not a pure democracy, and it's not actually called democracy. So it's something between a republic, a democracy. So I don't think we can use America as a good example of democracy.
But I think the truth is, when a small amount of people participate, it would be only their ideas. And if the other 55% realize that by not voting, they made a mistake, then they will vote the next time. And if they don't vote the next time, this means they're okay with it. They're okay with not voting. So that is called democracy, because what they wanted has happened.
Yeah, forcing people to do a certain thing is not called democracy. That's why people not voting won't discriminate democracy.
And if 55% have not voted, it means that the system has some faults.
Yeah. Okay, now let's just take a hypothetical country without naming any names. Can you have a democracy if you do not allow all your people the ability to vote?
No. Everyone should be allowed and then make their choice.
Everybody should have the same advantages to vote.
So sometimes, yeah, I agree. And I think sometimes not voting is a vote for itself. So we see in some political events that people don't vote. But it's not because of not wanting to participate or having no idea at all.
So agree with that.
Yes, but even if we think that it is because of not wanting to participate, they will see the outcome. So what I'm saying is, if a low percent of people participate, it is true that the vote would be only for that low percent. Mm-hmm. But after, if anyone is unhappy with it, if they have the right to vote the next time or in a few years. So it's the same as democracy, because they will get their chance. However, not exactly at that moment, but they will get their chance
yes, participate.
Well, if you were going to design a country from scratch and you were going to try to not enforce, but encourage democracy, what type of things would you put into the educational system to help out people to understand before they got acted to vote?
First of all, I will try to explain them what is politics and what is the difference between, like, for example, communism, democracy, populism, and other political things. And then I will give them the freedom to choose.
And I think one of the most important stuff is to teach them how to work in groups so they can learn working together
and tolerate each other.
Yes, and express.
And also, when teaching people about political stuff, you shouldn't take any sides, so it would be completely neutral.
And I think what I think is that if you teach people to think for themselves, they will understand that they're in agony right now. They are not in a good position, and they will automatically try to change the environment so it will suit them for their living. So it is in our nature to try to live in a better place, to make the environment suit us. So if we only need to realize what the problem is. Where do we have a problem that we cannot cope with? So when we find that, we automatically try to change it. So the only thing we need, I think not the only thing, but one of the important things that to teach people from when they're children is to first learn them to find the problems, and the second is to teach them ways of resolving that problem. So if they know what the problem is and know the way to resolve it, if they don't resolve the problem, it's their own problem. I know. When they have the way to resolve the problem and know which part is the thing that they need to change, they will do so.
It actually sounds that you guys are much more familiar with democracy than many people that live in, quote, democratic countries. How do you credit that? How do you have such a good sense of democracy? What do they do in your schools that they may not do in the Western schools? What do you think?
First of all, we've been taught to study much more than only the books that the school gives us. I mean, like studying other references and other opinions, so that we get to know every other opinion, so that we can choose the best and get a summary of them.
Okay, now, and how would that help out in a democracy if everybody was being taught the same way you were being taught? How would that help out?
Okay, if people are taught like this, they are being taught to criticize everything they see and just don't believe everything they see at the first time, so they can analyze it and choose the best. I think that's one of the most important things that we can do to gain democracy.
Not to rush your opinion.
Yes, and when, for example, populist politicians come, they are trying to fool people. And if you have this you can criticize well, you will understand that they are populists. So you will not vote for them, and you will vote for democracy at the end.
And you won't be fooled.
Wow. And, this is very interesting. It would if we changed positions, it would almost seem like that would be America from about 30, 40 years ago. Today we're much more undemocratic, and you would have people yelling at each other than it would be something else. What do you find this topic easy to discuss, even in your country, with people your age?
Well, it depends who you are talking to.
But I mean, I think we're a new generation, so with new ideas, so I think it's much easier to talk about it with the people the same age as us than with older people.
And we are more informed about politics.
Yeah.
I think it's easier now to talk to people that have differences. Like maybe 30 or 40 years ago, it was impossible to talk with someone or communicate with someone who doesn't live in your city. or doesn't have your ideas, or actually, if you live uptown and they live downtown, down in the suburbs, it was impossible for you to communicate. But now, I mean, now that we can communicate, we have an open mind, so it's easier to talk and think. It's really
people have gone more open-minded since like 30 years ago, and yeah.
Now, for your own ambitions, what do each one of you want to do later on in your life? What are your ambitions to try to pursue that you would like to become?
I want to be a lawyer. I want to go into politics, and I think my final goal is to be a Minister of Education.
Okay, now are all these opportunities available to you at this current time?
Well, I think if you want it, you can achieve it. So really, it's about yourself, not everything around you. So I think if you wanted really bad, of course you can achieve everything. So it doesn't matter if the possibilities are there, because you can go and find them or create them.
Okay, good. What would you like to do? That was very good. Yes.
I'd like to study foreign politics and foreign affairs.
Wow, that's very fascinating. And who on the what type of I don't know how to put this politely, I guess. What type of person would you like to? Who do you see in world leaders that you actually look up to now? Are there any world leaders today that are interesting to study, or?
Well,
like a lot of characters, but
yes, for example, Angela Merkel. Merkel is one of my goals.
Oh, really? Wow, that's good. Okay, what would you like to do?
Well, I'm really interested in these topics that we've been talking about, but I love physics and mathematics more than that, and I love to be an engineer in the future.
Wow. And the girls in the back behind you, what do y'all want? What do you guys want to do?
My goal isn't related to this subject at all. I want to be a psychiatrist, and it's really not related, but that's my goal.
There's nothing wrong at all with that. I what's really kind of fascinating is that your school does such a wonderful job. I've never met people it seems like everybody's always superior to the people that we get to talk to. So it's really fascinating to see about all of your different education. And by the way, compared to many schools that we get to talk to, I would say you have to have one of the best schools in the world. Your attitudes and stuff are just so good. You'll do very well. And what would you like to do?
I'm really into politics, but I also like war photography and reporting. So
oh, wow.
They're really related. And I think about what you said about our chances, I think as we sit and people are getting open-minded, so it's getting easier for us to achieve. Before, it was really hard for girls to get into politics or even journalism. But I think nowadays we see more journalists and people in politics. We see
female politicians.
Yeah, female politicians. And I think the thing is, we should not think we don't have a chance. We should always think that if it's getting better now, why shouldn't it get better by the time going?
I can assume by your interest in this topic that you feel like, especially in your age, you can really make a difference in the world, correct?
Yes. We hope so.
Well, I think that a lot of that has been lost in the West. A lot of people in the West just see things as going, out of control. So it's really interesting that you guys do. And it's very ancient Persian too. I really think that was one of the keys to the Persian Empire, was the ability to be politically astute and put together groups of people. So it's very pleasant to see such wonderful young people like yourself doing this. It makes me feel really good. I can't hardly say anything wrong because you seem to have it really we would talk about democracy here in the States. Everybody would think the United States is democracy, although we're far from being a democracy. So, you know, you guys pretty much understand that completely. I don't know if I could ask this, but in foreign policy, what do you think about the United States foreign policy right now? What would you like to see do different?
It's a bit complicated because
Oh, really? I didn't know.
I mean, there are two ways of approaching this subject. I think we as foreigners have one view, and people from inside America have another view, as always, because
everybody looks for their benefits.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I understand that completely. And then together we're like working in Iraq to do something to try to prop up that government, which is virtually, you know, strange. But, you know, it's really interesting because there's I know Secretary of State Kerry and President Obama worked real hard on the treaty with Iran. And there's a lot of blowback on that one here in the States right now. But I guess the sanctions are off at this point. Is it economically better in your city right now than it was before when the sanctions were on, or no?
According to reports, Iran has
developed so much.
In the last year, like 5%.
And it's a rather high rate, 5%.
Wow.
We have negative growth, and now we have positive growth.
Yeah, we had such a negative. Yeah, it was so
like 5 years ago.
Yeah, things got really hard. Now, does that impact a lot of your opportunities? You still have to take a test, and your test scores depend on what you do in college, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And how do you? Tell me a little bit about that test.
It's called concours, and it's nothing that exists in America. It's in China, Russia, Turkey.
It's something like
in France.
Yes, it's like something like SAT, but it's on a bigger scale.
Yeah,
like everybody.
And your test score, how you score on that will depend on what college you get into and what field and stuff. Is that a lot of pressure to put on people?
Yeah.
And how do you cope with that?
I think you have to try your best. There's not really a way to get away from it. Yeah, I mean, it's just you have to learn very hard for that time.
Study very hard for the
yes, and that's the only thing you can do.
And when do you take that test?
When we finish the 12th grade.
In 3 years.
It used to be twice, like 2 months in and one day. Took the test and then came out and
give another
one
one.
Again, but now it's just one time.
Yes, you go in and you do the test and it's all done.
Yeah.
And that's your destiny.
But well, if you do it badly, you could
try
the test
again
next year. But it's annual, so it's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And if you do well, when you do well, you can pretty much you go to school and you just start your career like that, correct?
Yes.
And do they just? Is there any differentiation between genders? Are women able to do more things now than before, or no?
Yes.
There's always been.
How do you like going to an all-girls school? What's the advantage of going to an all-girls school?
Well, it's good because we understand each other very well.
We don't really have a choice. The schools are all segregated.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I was trying to put it in a really diplomatic, politically good way. You see what I'm saying? Okay, yeah. If you went to a school in which there were not, like your school, if you went to like a Western type of school, do you think that offers more distractions, or is it a plus or a minus, do you think, to go to a school which has both genders?
No, I think that the thing that they segregate genders makes a bit more of a shock to people when they go into the society with both genders.
Exactly. When they go to university, it's just something odd they've never experienced before. So I think it's a bit odd that you're 18 years old and for some people, it's the first time they sit in a class with boys. So I think that's more of a distraction than just getting used to it through a few years.
And do a lot of women go into being medical doctors and architects and stuff like that, or attorneys, or is that still mostly men?
No. Women participate a lot in this field. For example, in year 2016, most of the people who did this test was women, not boys. They were more
wow. That's really good. So there's no difference between an all-girls school and all-boys school in the respect that boys score better. It may be that girls are actually scoring better on the test.
Yes, we definitely do score better.
I thought it was all this training that you get with all these really good teachers. Now you just tell me because you didn't get distracted by the boys. Huh?
Well, it's both.
I was just joking. Because it's very impressive to see. Now, do you want to stay, if the people who want to get into politics, do you want to stay in Iran, or would you like to go overseas and serve the Iranian government overseas?
I'd like to go to foreign countries and study there so I can gain experiences from other countries so I can come to Iran with more knowledge and help my country more.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, see, in the United States, our idea is totally opposite. We just stay in the States and not really think too much about other people, which is really bad. You know, so I'm anxious to see young people that actually want to go see other people to see that. I think that's really good. And you want to be a lawyer and a politician. What kind of college do you want to go to?
I want to go to Oxford.
Wow. That's really good. And you're going to come back after you get a good English education, you're going to come back to Iran?
I think it depends. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of I know a lot of people I know from Persia and stuff, or Iran, that left in different times or all over. I know in Los Angeles there is a tremendous amount of people from your country, but I think there's a lot in London as well. So, you know, I think you find a diaspora no matter where you go. It's really fascinating. I do not know what happened to my students today, other than I know that they had a real serious wreck, and we barely got through, and we were real late, so I don't know what they're going to do today. But somebody got very hurt, so I apologize for them not coming. I'd like to try to do this again. And now, when do you have your winter break? Your New Year, or not New Year's? What do you call it? Don't you have a break coming up pretty quick?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, no break.
Are getting closer. Closer.
Oh, okay. When is it? When is the Persian New Year?
21st March.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, I remember it was. I thought it was in March. So, can we do something in January on a different type of topic or something, and I'll make sure my kids come.
Sure.
And because I like this type of format, I'll send to your teacher, and we can come up with some questions, and then we can do something like that, because this is really a good dialogue. It's very eye-opening for, I'm glad I recorded it, because I like to show this to my students. I've never seen so many people that seem to know much more about Western government than a lot of the students in the West. So, you know, you guys should be, your teachers should be congratulated for doing a very good job and helping you understand. Plus, you girls should be congratulated, because we need more people like yourselves to be much better citizens of the world.
Thank you very much for the compliment.
Oh, yeah, you're more welcome. It's my pleasure to sit in and actually get to talk to you today. This is really neat. I wish I could tell you more. Many of my relatives came from Persia, going back to like 600, 700, 800 BC to around, I think, 800. But and then they moved away to Armenia, and then they moved into the Western and ended up in France and all kinds of places like that. So I can understand when you go to London and you leave, and you can many generations later. But it's really fascinating to understand. I'd like to say goodbye, and thank you so much today, okay? Bye. Thank you. Bye.